Fantastic. So Zoom is just saying it's preparing for the YouTube live session. And I know many of you will be joining us via my YouTube channel. So a very warm welcome to all of you. And now I will go back into my Zoom room and we will get started. Record, speakers view, and screen share. Fantastic. So a very, very warm welcome, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, to our big web class on the big global reset. And I will also share in part 2 10 smart business concepts for Africa in the new context of the changing economy. So fantastic. So actually, hold on. Sorry, just a quick adjustment. Okay, great. And full view. All right. So, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, again, sorry for the little bit lengthy introduction, but we shall get started right now. And a very warm welcome to all of you wherever in the world you are. So today we're going to start with part 1 of a 2-part web class, which I'm running today and tomorrow. The title of today's web class is The Big Global Reset: How to Avoid Business Failure in Africa in 2021 and Beyond. And tomorrow, we will look at part 2, 10 smart, profitable business concepts for Africa that you can start now. And these are business concepts that are shock-proof. So tomorrow, part 2 will take place at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. UK time. And if you are watching this as a replay after January 2021, then you are able to watch part 1 and part 2 as a replay on YouTube. So today I will share as much as I can with you during the course of this web class. And it is probably one of the most important classes I have given. And you know what, basically before I start, let me introduce myself quickly to those of you who are not familiar with me. My name is Dr. Harnat. I'm a certified business trainer, an Africa business coach and consultant. I'm an entrepreneur owning 2 companies and happy to say now registered fully in Africa in Kigali, Rwanda. I'm a speaker, an author, a champion for Africa, and a very proud mom of 2 boys. My work was featured on Forbes Africa, the KLM Air France Africa Business Club, the renowned Africa CEO Forum, the Africa Business Conference at Harvard. I actually run a panel there. And I also spoke at Google in Silicon Valley. So that is just a quick introduction to myself. If you are maybe new to me and my work and our online community, and if you are new, then a very warm welcome to the Africa Business Jumpstart community. So I want to make a quick disclaimer. And I've done this, I'm doing this for the very first time, but I thought with the kind of information I'm sharing today, I want to quickly let you know that the information I share today is my own personal opinion. It is based on the research I did, my own experiences, and my personal world perspective. I'm not an economist. I do not have access to your personal circumstance, nor do I own a crystal ball. Okay, so I really want to make that disclaimer because the information I'm sharing today and the insights I'm sharing today could really be perceived very differently by different personalities or based on your own experience or your own worldview. And so there's no collective truth to it. And I just want to let you know that I just wanted to share the research and the findings and insights that I have received And whatever you think is useful to you, please take it. The rest, you can drop it. So I want to quickly double check if we're all able to hear properly. Let's quickly double check. Can you hear well? Can you see well? Can I get, thank you, Andy. Thank you, fantastic, excellent. Thank you so much, Heile, excellent. Okay, good. So we'll get back to screen share, and those of you on YouTube as well. I hope you can hear everything properly. Okay. So let's dive straight in. And I really don't want to talk around the bush today. It's going to be a very, very straightforward session about what's happening on the globe and how it will affect our businesses in an African context and our investments. And the scenario, I think I would sum it up, that the world at large knows that the pandemic is happening. And I think you would all agree that we have been caught pretty much by surprise last year when the pandemic struck and our worlds and our personal lives changed in an instant. Our freedoms changed, you know, positions in jobs, employment status, and our mobility, all of that changed. Now, the whole world is aware of it, and there is not a single corner in the world, be it an industrialized nation or a less developed area in the world, that is not aware or has not felt the impact across social status. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you will have felt it. And you may also agree that the majority of us are kind of waiting for the whole thing to go away so that we can continue our lives as we have done in the past. And many I've seen said, oh, I'm so glad 2020 is over. It's been a difficult year, a challenging year. You know, I'm looking forward to 2021, and hopefully we can tackle this virus and, really continue with our lives. And that is kind of the mass perspective. However, there's much more to it all than meets the eye. And although I have heard a little bit more about the wider context of what is actually happening on our globe, I have to confess that I was so busy with my transition to Rwanda and with preparing my business for the new year that I have not really taken the time to dive into it in more detail. But over the last few weeks, I have. And what I found was, to be very honest, in my personal view, quite worrying, and also it raised alarm bells in a way that I said, I have to inform my Africa Business Jumpstarter community. I know that some of you have also done their research into what's really happening on the globe beyond the coronavirus and how it may impact upon us in years and decades to come. And, for those of you who have done their research, I would say, well done. I have done my research over the last few weeks, but I really believe that the majority of us is not aware. And I'm saying SOS because I think that what I found and what many of you may have found out doing your research is so important and so time sensitive that I'm glad I actually waited in the month of January to really focus on this research so I can, put everything that I teach into a new context. Because frankly, I can continue my ways in regards to talking about the great opportunities that are out there on the African continent and how you should really start a business and an investment on the continent. But none of that will make sense if we are not aware of the new context, the new narrative. And that's why I believe this is one of the most important sessions I've ever done. I'm so glad this room is packed. We have reached full capacity, over 500 people in the Zoom room live, which is full capacity. And I know hundreds and a few thousands will join us on live on YouTube. So here is what is the real issue. And that is that a big depression is on the horizon. What is a depression in economic terms? An economic depression is a sustained long-term downturn in economic activity in one or more economies. It is a more severe economic downturn than a recession, which is really a slowdown in economic activity over the course of a normal business cycle. So most of you will remember the big recession or the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. And how really, many of us were impacted upon, and we saw a slowdown in the economy. And a lot of people lost their jobs overnight, businesses closed overnight, and we could really see the impact it had on our personal lives. And I actually want to ask you, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, who was impacted upon personally during the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009? Let me ask you, let's see in the comment section. Let us know if you remember that time and how you remember it, and have you been impacted by it personally, or your family has been impacted. Okay, me, I was impacted. Yes, I was. So many of you are actually saying, yes, we do remember that time. And I lost 20,000 in my house. I was impacted directly, some say indirectly. I lost a job of 10 years. Yes, my wife lost her job. We had foreclosure. I filed for bankruptcy. I lived in New York and it was terrible. There was no hiring. My property was seized. And so on. I lost stock investments. So this is just in our small community here, and it's coming in so fast. I lost property, home value. I lost my home. I was impacted. So several of you actually lost their home. It was a difficult time, you're saying. And many of you lost money, stocks, business, your job, and a home. And this is in 2008, 2009, and you can see, how really, your feedback is flooding in here. Now, let's go back to the presentation. That was the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, okay? Now, what we are really facing is a big depression. A Great Depression. And that means 2008, 2009 has been a walk in the park compared to what's going to come. And what I really want to let you know here is that I have not followed some kind of people who are spreading conspiracy theories. Over the last few weeks, I have followed economists, fund managers, financial experts, and people who are our leaders in government and business. These are the people I followed, and that's the base of research that I want to share with you today. 2008, 2009 is going to be a walk in the park. And what they're saying, we're really going to face a big economic depression globally that we have not seen, listen to this, since 1929. So basically, they're comparing what's going to come with the Great Depression of 1929, which hit the USA and Europe in particular, and was felt again also across the world. Here you can see pictures from that Great Depression, where we had mass unemployment. You can see people here queuing, and actually you see a lot of white American men. And what you can tell from the people who are queuing to get some kind of support or employment, these are not poor people. These are people, look, they are dressed in nice coats with suits and a hat. These are people from the middle classes and the upper middle classes who suddenly faced mass unemployment. These are people who owned businesses who were then queuing for jobs. We can see, a poverty that suddenly spread in the United States for those who were already poor. It really pushed them on the existence of survival, on the edge for survival and fighting for their existence. But we also see people who were in the middle class who suddenly faced poverty that they had never experienced. We saw a lot of hunger happening in that time. We saw a lot of unrest happening in that time. You can see the pictures. We would see protests and looting and unrest, police, having to safeguard property and people. And of course, there was also a huge rise in crime and really anarchy in some areas. And we also saw banks completely collapsing. To an extent, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, that bank accounts were closed. And they were closed first for a few days, then for a few weeks. And then we had bank accounts closed in the United States for 3 to 5 years. And that means that people who actually were from, well-off families, they had businesses, they had jobs, they had possibly even investment in stocks, they had savings, they had all of that, they had assets such as houses. Suddenly they were unable to really take care of themselves and their families because, well, that access to their financials were suddenly blocked, and they could not access the money that was sitting in the accounts. All right. Here is a picture from Germany, who also faced a huge recession, huge downfall in the Great Depression in the 1920s. Here you see 200 Milliarden Mark, which basically means 200 billion marks. 200 billion, this is a banknote for 200 billion. Why? Because we experienced hyperinflation at that time, so much so that money became completely useless. And they had to print bigger and bigger banknotes. On the left-hand side, you can see a lady weighing the banknotes and, a man waiting for it to be weighed because simply you could not count them anymore. So you had to weigh them. On the right-hand side, you see German children playing with, huge chunks of banknotes because basically they were nothing worth anymore. The reason why Germany in particular very early fell into this huge depression and hyperinflation was because when it came out of the First World War, it had to pay a lot of repatriation and debt to some of the superpowers who asked for money to make up for some of the losses during the war. And so what Germany did, it would print money. It would print and print and print, and then saying, oh, this is a great way to pay off everything we earn, and they would print more and print more and print more. And then it fell into hyperinflation. Now, that just should remind us what's happening, especially in the United States and in Europe. Because of the coronavirus, we are seeing money being printed, listen to this, on an extent that we have not seen in 100 years, or in fact, in history. And because of that, unless there's some kind of magic pill, economists and financial experts across the board are expecting that this is what the Great Depression will look like from 2021 for years to come. Now look at the pictures, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. And we have to confess that some of the pictures actually do not look far-fetched. We have seen these pictures. In fact, these are the pictures of situations happening right now. What we see is shop and business closure on an enormous scale. I have watched a video on business and shop closure in central London, and I've been absolutely shocked. It looks like a dead central London. And because I've lived there for 13 years in London, I know exactly how London usually looks like. And the cameraman went through the shop windows, and these shops were empty. That means they were not being closed for a short period of time, but permanently closed. And I'm talking about, higher end shops in the middle of London, shops that had been around for 50 years. Some of them, they showed it. These were shops that have been around for decades, some of them. Now look at these lines. These are pictures from the United States. People queuing for unemployment support. These are pictures we're seeing right now. We're seeing mass migration already happening because some systems in South America, for example, are already collapsing under the renewed weight. We are now seeing streams of migration, empty shelves. We've seen that, a disruption of supply chain, either because people are panicking or later on because the system has collapsed. We're seeing, or we're going to see, mass poverty on a scale that we are not used to in the West. That is the prediction of the experts I have followed. We're going to see poverty on a scale that we have not imagined before in the West. We're going to see a downfall of the stock markets in a way we have not seen for decades. We're going to see a complete failure of the bank system that's predicted. Where we don't really know what will happen with our bank, with our money that we have at those banks. And then we will see, of course, unrest, riots, a rise of extremism. We have already seen it. If we're looking here at the picture of the riots at the Capitol Hill, but we're also seeing riots already across Europe. Suddenly people are rioting in Denmark and the Netherlands. Denmark? Denmark, have you ever heard anything about Denmark? It's kind of the quietest country on this planet. You hardly hear any news about Denmark. Guess what? People are rioting in Denmark and the Netherlands. You have people rioting because of the lockdowns, because they're fearing freedoms are being taken away. You have people rioting in frustration because their businesses are being closed. And you have extremists jumping on board. And just as a reminder, the success of Hitler was based on the Great Depression. and what was happening in Germany. So the rise of extremism is also something that can be on the horizon. And then, some people are talking about a collapse of the system and therefore, for example, blackouts in the United States. So, there will be, I don't know, minutes, hours, or days without electricity. So that is the scenario. And again, for those of you logging in later, this is the global scenario. I have not followed conspiracy theorists. I have followed leading financial experts and economists. So you may ask, what has it to do with Africa? Or you probably know, well, first of all, it has something to do with those of us who are based in the United States and Europe. And because I am featuring to the African diaspora, I know that most of you, my followers, are actually based in those economies. So that is why I said it is so important that we are all aware of it. But second, if the United States and Europe will go down economically, it will impact on the entire world, including Africa. And that is what I said. We have to absolutely understand the situation better that's unfolding. There is no use in discussing business models or investment opportunities in Africa and how I want to start a business if we are not aware of the wider economics and global shift that's actually happening in front of us. Now, two narratives exist. One is doomsday, all right? So that is economists, financial experts, and also people who just, did research like myself, and maybe they're putting content together, who are really saying, prepare for the worst. There are a lot of people out there that are promoting, or maybe not promoting, that believe we really don't know how bad it will be. Prepare for the worst. And then the other narrative, which may be a little bit more optimistic, is the narrative of the Great Reset. And I know for some of you this is not new because you have been doing your research too, but I believe that the majority of us is completely unaware. And it's my job today to spread that awareness. We do not hear in the news about the Great Reset. All we hear about is coronavirus. Now let's look into what the Great Reset means. And I want you to take a note of this, including you, dear ABBA family, our Africa Business Academy members, because the Great Reset will become a topic for us in ABBA and how we prepare our businesses and investments and ourselves in that context. Everything else would not make sense. We would be kidding ourselves. So the Great Reset, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, is actually existing. It is a term that comes from the World Economic Forum. I'm sure most of you are really familiar for the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is, if you want to call it that way, a platform, a think tank. Someone called it a think tank on steroids. I like that. Of global business leaders and world leaders, so leaders in politics. And the idea of the global reset, the Great Reset, is an idea that comes from the World Economic Forum, and it is an idea that they're already preparing for. And it's a shame that most of us do not know, and that the masses will find out when it's all over in the news, and when it's already too late for most people to prepare, because once it's in the news or more people will find out about it, guess what? Panic will set in. And therefore, it's important that we know about it now as soon as possible. Now, the Great Reset, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, is the kind of a brainchild of Mr. Klaus Schwab. And Klaus Schwab, I know how to say it in German, so I'm trying to say it with an English accent. So Mr. Klaus Schwab says the pandemic, Corona, represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Now, he is really the one who came up with the idea of the Great Reset. And the Great Reset is an idea that he had for a few years, and it was already circling in the World Economic Forum for a few years. Klaus Schwab wrote a book called The Great Reset, and he wrote that book in 2017, long before we knew about the pandemic. In the new world, he says, it is not the big fish which eats the small fish, it's the fast fish which eats the slow fish. So what we want to understand here is that, yes, it may have been the brainchild of one man, but it has now become the framework for the most powerful people on this planet. Mr. Schwab also says globalization 4.0 has only just begun, but we are already vastly underprepared for it. And welcome to the fourth industrial revolution with a new social construct. So what Mr. Schwab is also saying, and the reason why I'm making him such a key figure is because he is the founder and the CEO, I forgot to say that, I think, the founder and the CEO of the World Economic Forum. So he's the one calling everyone together. They're basically meeting under his roof and have been doing so for the last 50 years. Now, Mr. Schwab also says that we are now starting a fourth industrial revolution, which will have a new social construct. He says, and listen to this, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, that those of us who believe that the pandemic will be over soon and we will look forward to go back to our old beautiful life, he says that is, quote, a fiction. He says, quote, that is a fiction. And we're actually, in his own words, quote, at a crossroad of humankind. And what I want to do is, I want to quickly let you know the 4 key aspects of the new world order that is to be formed in the framework of a Great Reset. And again, I'm not making it up, nor have I been following conspiracy theorists. I'm using the words of the World Economic Forum. And first of all, before I quickly share that, I want to double check with you. Are you still awake? Are you focusing? Are you taking things in? Let me also know, have you actually learned something so far? Maybe you were unaware of it. Please let me know. And we'll go right back. Yes, on fire, absolutely. Yes, yay. Here, fantastic. Okay, definitely learned something new. I'm taking notes. We're with you. My eyes are open. Okay, fantastic. So let's continue. And this is crucial, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, because it will impact Africa in a major way, and each one of us, no matter where in the world we reside. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Are we also doing okay? For those of you on YouTube, give us a big yes on YouTube Live. All right, so now listen to this. For those of us who believe we will go back to our old beautiful life, they call it a fiction. It will not happen. Okay, so there are four main constructs. If you read, and I've really, as I said, I followed, I read, I listened, I watched, and there are four reoccurring themes. And I will say a little bit more about them in a minute. One of the most important themes that is being mentioned in the context of the Great Reset is a worldwide green economy. Basically, they're saying that we have been producing, consuming. And it harms our globe, our environment, and it also harms us as human beings, because most of us in the Western world are not really happy or fulfilled. We've become robots of consumerism. Now, the framework of the Great Reset is that everything will change in regards to how we produce and how we consume. It needs to be done in a sustainable way. And now listen, and I hope you can see how crucial it is to understand that. If you are planning now a business in Africa, or you are planning to invest, if that is the new narrative, a green economy globally, then it means that we have to set up businesses that will be prepared and operate within that new narrative. And I believe in here lies a wonderful, beautiful, big opportunity for many businesses in Africa to lead ahead. Because frankly, our economies across the continent are still in their infant shoes. By and large, they're emerging, but they're not as developed. And we have a lot of industries that are not developed at all, or very poorly developed. Now, herein lies a unique opportunity for every country in Africa to start building, be it infrastructure, be it small, medium-sized businesses, the service provision, service sector, and so on, production and so on, to start building in the framework of a green economy. It would protect our communities here, but it would also position ourselves powerfully in the world. And the beautiful opportunity here for all of you who are planning businesses and investments in Africa is that we do not need to undo all that we've built, the conventional, and build it into the new green economy. We can actually start building it from scratch, okay? So that is the one big pillar of the Great Reset. The next big pillar of the Great Reset is digital. Digital. Things will happen online, if we like it or not. They will be supported by technology, by innovation, if we like it or not. And the faster we can adapt to that, and we adapt our business to it, the better will we be positioned. The third big pillar of the Great Reset, and they have not actually spelled it out as like first, second, third, fourth pillar. This is just me compiling the 4 pillars, reading through so much information and listening to a lot that I can see, okay, these are the 4 reoccurring big themes. The third one, in my view, is the most worrying and challenging. And that is artificial intelligence, which of course also provides a lot of opportunity and a lot of important solutions to major challenges we're facing in the world. But when you listen very carefully, and they're making no secret out of it in the World Economic Forum, I'm telling you, they're also talking about tracking everything and everyone. Now, they're saying that this will be necessary to keep you safe from another pandemic that may come. They also say it's necessary to make sure that you are being taken care of, that you're safe. And so that is the kind of context they're using. And they're actually talking, believe it or not, I know it's unbelievable, but they're actually talking about microchips that will be implanted into each one of us to track what we do and where we go, and so on and so forth. Now, I know this, again, sounds very, very far-fetched too, and I won't go much more into detail, but we cannot really close our eyes from that if we want to really believe how important it is to understand the global shift that's going to happen. We have to understand that aspect. And there is, there was one speaker at the World Economic Forum who talked about the danger of that. So basically, he knows it's an agenda of the World Economic Forum. That means the 8,000 top people in business and government. They know that this is a bigger agenda. And now he's been invited, and there are also activists being invited. I mean, it's a platform for everyone that kind of has a say in the world, including I don't know, Greta Thunberg or some known activists in Africa who are fighting for rights in Africa. So all of them are part of it. And then there was one man who did a very lengthy presentation on the risk of that. Monitoring everything, including our thoughts, how we will react to certain news, for example, or to certain orders. And now what they're saying is, and we're talking here about the next 10 years, okay? I'm not talking about some kind of next 100 years. We're talking about the next 10 years. And they're basically saying that capitalism, the way we have got to know it, will not work anymore. And they're basically, if you really listen to it, are pushing us towards a more socialist, and I would say communist idea. And you will see it in 1 minute in their own words. I will share something with you, okay? So with the whole global reset comes, in my view, great opportunity. We heard the green economy, going digital, technology, the use of technology, but then also the talk about more control, and that capitalism and even democracy has undermined our way of living on this planet. Basically, it was good at one point, but it doesn't really serve us anymore. And then the last pillar of the Great Reset, where you see that little child, the last pillar is the pillar that they call caring and sharing. Basically, they're making a big emphasis on the fact that our world has been really suffering from huge inequalities and poverty, and that we shall enter a new era of caring and sharing. Now, I believe most of you would agree that this sounds really good. You know, all of us would like a just world, and a world where suffering is really, they put an end to suffering and huge injustices. But then we should also remember who is sitting on the World Economic Forum. So you have the likes of everyone really who's leading our economies right now. So you will have the likes of Putin or the likes of Trump or the like now Biden, and then we have the German chancellor, and we have the British premier and the French president, and then we have some African presidents on it, and then we have, you know, the CEO of the IMF and the World Bank, and then we have all the big institutions and the biggest hedge funds, and so basically they're sharing with us the idea of the green economy, and the sharing and the caring and the end of injustice in the world. And then they have on this panel, or among the leaders, the most corrupt people who have actually brought the suffering upon us. And that's why I think, yes, there's a lot of hope in the Great Reset. But then there's also a lot of worry in the Great Reset. Because if they want to come up with a more controlled system, and the guy who raised concerns says we will have digital dictatorships. This is a new term, digital dictatorships. So we then also need to be clear, okay, so who will actually run this show? Okay, I know I've said a lot, but this is so important, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, to understand. And I know for the majority of you, this is completely new. You've been worrying about the coronavirus, but the coronavirus is just the launch pad to what's actually happening. And I want to quickly share a 1-minute video, and you can see it on the top. It is a video by the World Economic Forum. You won't hear voices. There's no need for that. There's just a little bit of music. If you don't hear it, don't worry, because just read what they're saying. It will run for 1 minute. And this is in their own world, in their own words. And this is a taste of what's going to come in the world, including in Africa. All right. So let me just pause here for a second. Were you able to see the writing? Were you able to read what they said? Okay. So here you can see it. This is in the own words of the World Economic Forum. And is it not striking that the little clip starts with, "You will owe nothing and you will be happy. You will rent everything. You won't eat meat every day, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I'm vegetarian, and but you won't eat meat every day. So, and then they also say the USA will not be the superpower anymore. It will be a handful of nations. I wonder which nations those will be. And basically, they're also saying, that democracy as we've known it is really kind of undermining what we want, where we want to go. Okay, so this is just to give you a taste and to really let you know everything I've been sharing so far has been coming from the world leaders in business and government. Okay, and that's the agenda. And so let's now look into how this will affect us. We'll move on a little bit faster, but it's important, really important, that you get the sense of importance here. So really, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, you can see both, I believe. There is maybe doomsday, we will lose structures and systems will collapse, and we may suffer as a result of it in a way we would not have imagined, especially in the Western world. But on the other hand, we will also have amazing new opportunity. I, for one, personally completely agree that climate change is real, and that if we continue the way we have, we will all suffer the consequences badly. Now, I believe there's risk and opportunity in what's going to come. And the most important part now, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, is that you are able to manage both. Remember, it will be the fast fish which eat the slow fish. When is all of this going to happen? Well, it has already started. That's what they're saying. And the peak of the global depression is to be reached in the next 2 to 3 years. The Great Reset, the Great Reset is to be scheduled for 2020 to 2030. So basically, they started it last year, and it will run for 10 years. And that means that the changes they're talking about should come rather fast. And therefore, it is of absolute essence that you and all of us have a sense of urgency. Now, how does this possibly impact Africa? Again, I do not have a crystal ball, but what we do know is, number one, it will affect Africa because Africa too is part of a global economy. And number two, we know that Africa has been affected during the Great Recession of 2008-2009. First, a few facts about doing business in Africa before we start how it will affect the continent. Look at these numbers. Right now, let's say in the next few years, so just after the global reset, like 20 years after the global reset should be finished, we can see that Africa's population is believed to be 25% of the entire globe. That means every fourth person is going to be an African. Every fourth person in the world. Now, and that means, of course, that Africa will play a major role in the Great Reset, or it will have a major impact on Africa. Usually, if you have been following me for a while, I really divide Africa into 4 categories. One is the high risk, high opportunity category. One is the high risk, low opportunity category. One is the low risk, high opportunity category. And then we have the low risk, low opportunity category. And I know some of you are very aware of this. Now, quickly, if you're not aware of it, I usually divide Africa into 4 categories in terms of risk and opportunity ratio. So a high risk, high opportunity country in Africa would, for example, be Nigeria, Angola, the DRC. Okay, a low risk, high opportunity country, which is the best category. This is the green category. So where risk is relatively low and opportunity high, would, for example, be Botswana, Kenya, Rwanda, Namibia. And then, of course, we have low risk, low opportunity countries, which are a lot of failed states and states that have, or countries that have conflict and very poor governance. So now, however, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, we have to bring two new aspects into the equation in order to assess risk and opportunity. And these new aspects are, number one, Corona, and number two, the economic downfall that is going to hit the globe very soon. And those are both new aspects, especially in terms of risk, but also in terms of opportunity. And it starts with understanding, first of all, where in Africa are you planning your business or your investment? Either because you're a member of the diaspora and you're planning to, return to Africa or to start your business from afar or your investment, or because you're based on the continent already. And it's important to understand that there's first Corona, but the really big thing will be the economic downfall and the global reset. How will that affect the country and the economy in which I am, residing? And you need to make the assessment in that regard, but also in regards to your industry. So let's have a look. Which countries in Africa will be hit first and worst by the global depression? Number one, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, Angola, DRC, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Ethiopia, for different reasons. And let me shed a little bit light on this. First of all, at the center of the downfall will be the United States. That is what experts are saying. It will be the United States, and with it, and Europe kind of as well. So it will be the Western world as we know it: US, North America, Canada, and including Canada and Europe. Now, that will then have a ripple effect on different markets in different ways. Now, the reason why Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and Kenya will be among the first hit countries when those Western worlds and the banks go down is because they have a very high US dollar capital flow with the West. Basically, especially South Africa, it will probably be hit fastest and the worst in the beginning, because it has a high capital flow with the Western world. And then Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, which are basically well-established economies that are competitive at a global scale. And because that is the fact, they will be hit by the global downturn in that way. Then we have countries who do not really have this exchange on such a level, but they depend on commodity exports. So for example, Angola, DRC, Zimbabwe, Zambia, they depend on natural resources, copper, gold, metals, and so on. And oil, Nigeria also oil. And these commodity exports at one point, when the global economy will fall down, will become very, very cheap, and therefore they will be affected economically. Then there is little production in some countries. Angola, DRC, they make a lot of imports of food products. I mean, the whole of Africa really does. But then there are some countries such as Angola and DRC who, compared to the large number of people they have, hardly produce. And they have a very, very high influx of imports. Now, guess what? Imports will not only become very expensive, but there is a disruption in the supply chain as well. And then You have other countries with a history of high inflation, Zimbabwe, absolutely, Angola, Ethiopia as well. And then Ethiopia also, you know, is struggling also, you know, politically right now. And so all of these kind of circumstances will just exaggerate. Okay, I shouldn't have used that word. Will increase when the economic global downfall hits. And then, of course, you have failed states, states that, you know, vulnerable, they have poor governance, or you have extremism in them happening. Somalia, Eritrea, my own beloved country, Eritrea. I don't want to think what will happen to a country like Eritrea when there is a complete disruption of the supply chain. Imports will get more expensive, and basically now you have you know, a failed country in a collapsing economy worldwide. And so those states will, the people in those countries will really experience the unimaginable, in my view. Mozambique, actually, the reason why I put it here is extremism. Should have put it in a different area maybe, but I just wanted to put it all onto one sheet. Mozambique, for example, has experienced a lot of extremism from Islamists. I know it's not the only country, but is suffering now recently on a huge scale. And so we've already talked what will happen if the world is in turmoil. Extremism will actually get worse. And in countries such as Somalia, Mozambique, Mali, northern Nigeria, where people are already suffering from extremism, we will just possibly see the rise of that in a global economy that's going down. Now, here I have a list, okay? And please, this is just maybe a direction. It's a list someone has put together. It's an economist who has researched, you know, the data from the African Development Bank, the European Development Bank, and his own data in terms of the resilience ranking during the Great Recession of 2008-2009. So on the left-hand side in red, low, are those countries who had a really low resilience at the time. And I disagree a little bit with Kenya, I have to say. I'm not sure why it ended up in this category, because I checked data for Kenya when I saw it there, and I think Kenya should really be placed in the medium rank. So that's something I would personally adjust, because I looked for different data on Kenya in that regard, how it was affected first of all, but then also the resilience rank is how it has recovered. Okay, yes, Kenya took long to recover in certain industries, but nevertheless I would put it in medium. But you can see on the left hand side low resilience after the Great Recession of 2008-2009, where countries, just as we have mentioned, that have or had already very poor governance, or they are highly depending on the commodity exports. Then in the medium, we have countries actually such as Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Senegal, Rwanda, Zambia. So where, you know, different factors have been taken into account. And it's very, very difficult to cluster the countries. I've actually tried to do it myself. You can look at GDP, how much was the loss of GDP? How quickly was the GDP recovered? You can look at exports, how much did they go down? Certain industries such as tourism, how did that affect? So because there are so many aspects and contributors, it's very difficult to kind of cluster countries, but it gives you a good idea and direction in terms of what I'm shooting for here. And then there were countries with relatively high resilience. So Burkina Faso, for example, it was hit because the cotton industry was hit, but it had a higher resilience. Tanzania, very interestingly, I really looked also into the data for Tanzania, had a quite high resilience too, although it exports a lot of commodities. But Tanzania will also have a higher resilience in my view, because so far, and the question is not if you agree or if you do not agree, but so far the president of Tanzania is defying the kind of corona or lockdown. Basically, he's kind of denying it, that it's there. And therefore, Tanzania is open for business. There's no lockdown. That is the information I have. Correct me, dear Tanzanians, if you are here on board. And therefore, there will be a lower risk for certain industries to be impacted upon. But then, of course, again, the tourism industry will be globally impacted upon. Mozambique here actually, interestingly, comes in during the 2008-2009 as being rather high resilient. But what I mentioned, the extremism that is swapping through Mozambique is new to that extent. And then they also agreed that Mauritius, Botswana, Namibia have a very high resilience against the global downfall. And these are two countries, Botswana and Namibia, I have to say, where almost everyone agreed that Botswana and Namibia had a high resilience, and they were managing the impact quite well. So this is to let you know now, if you're choosing your markets, you have to be aware of that. Where are you operating? Where are you planning to start a business? Where are you planning to expand an existing business to? Or where are you planning investment? All right. So what do I do is probably a question. Well, you need short-term and longer-term action, that's for sure. The worst you can do is doing nothing. Now, if now that you have been made aware of it. Step number one, in my view, is to prepare. It all starts with awareness. And once you have the awareness, it is so important that you do your research and that you actually make a plan. I think the worst in this kind of time where there's so much uncertainty, not just because of Corona, as we heard now, but because of the biggest economic depression that will hit the globe since 1929, as we heard earlier on. And if that is on the horizon, the worst thing you can do is to believe that you will be okay and you're safe. I mean, it's good to be optimistic, but make plans and be optimistic. Look for the opportunities, be prepared. I don't want you to become depressed or be paralyzed by worry. But what I want to say is the worst that you can do is to say, okay, I have my job or I have my savings in the bank. Okay, there's the government that will look after me in case I do not keep my job. I can go to the shop next door and get my food. Well, guess what? We've just heard that all of that may not be the case anymore. And the worst thing that you can do is to become, to just be oblivious and say, I just continue my life the way I've been leading it. So how do you make a plan? I would say, to simplify it, I mean, these are my suggestions. Number one, assess your current situation, and to simplify it, two aspects: financially and mobility. Financially, mobility. With mobility, I mean also flexibility. Flexibility in terms of access, movement. If one option fails, what's the other option you have? Create more options that help you navigate through a pandemic and an economic downfall. And the options have to be financial and mobility. Mobility means like, okay, if one country doesn't work, maybe can I go to another? If one city falls down, can I go to another? That is the kind of thing we have to assess. So step number one, prepare, and make it your business like no other to come up with a plan. Step number two is to diversify your income streams urgently. Your job may not be safe. You just saw when I asked our Africa Business Jumpstart communities, how have you been affected during the 2008-2009 Great Recession? How many have said they lost their house and they lost their jobs? Your job is not safe. It may be safer if you're in industries such as health, or in a you work in a supermarket, or in logistics. But basically, the situation you have right now, whatever it is not safe, and your access to money is not safe. That means if you have your access, your money sitting in some kind of European or American bank, guess what? Your access is not safe, but then also the value of the currency is not safe. So that means if we're seeing the hyperinflation that we have seen in the Great Depression, and economists are preparing what's going to come to the Great Depression of 1929, well, then we saw the money got useless. And with the thousands of dollars you have sitting in the bank, I don't know, you can maybe buy a loaf of bread with that. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just putting out there what economists are sharing, and we need to be aware. So how do we then diversify your income streams? I've looked into it. And if you ask me, where have you been for the entire month of January? I have not been anywhere, especially not on social media, on YouTube, because I actually researched, I assessed my life and my business, and I took action. And I'll show you in a couple of minutes what I did for my life and my business when I found out what's on the horizon. I took action in January. So diversify your income stream, step number 2. Number 1, invest in cryptocurrency. And I'm sure many of you have done it. Buy gold and silver. And you need investment and payment options. Okay, so let me quickly explain. You may or may not agree, and I said at the beginning of this session that I'm sharing my opinion, my insights based on my research and my world perspective. Just take what you want to take. Maybe it helps you. You don't need to do as much research possibly, and just leave what doesn't work for you. The best bets right now to diversify your value, your currency, your money, is to invest in cryptocurrency. I've heard about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin like all of you for years. And when people talked about it to me, oh, you know, you should really do it. You should, you know what my answer was? Yes, but my head is full of stuff. I possibly can't understand and do everything. So I've always pushed it away. But now I'm seeing, okay, what's on the horizon needs reaction, action, and solutions from my end. And guess what? For the very first time, I have researched, understood to my best knowledge cryptocurrency. I have researched it, and I have actually invested. Okay, I have invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I have taken that action. Buy gold and silver. Well, gold and silver will go down when the stocks fall. They will go down. But gold has been around for centuries and for millenniums, and it will remain a currency, so to speak, so of value. So while your money may be worth nothing, and by the way, they're talking about a digital currency possibly coming up because the dollar should be replaced, and as they said, everything will go digital in the Great Reset. Gold and silver will probably use its value when all the stocks go down, but it will get its value quickly back. And so it's a good way to put your money into gold and silver. And I would say you can hold it, of course, in the stock market, but also you can actually buy it. £1,000 or $1,000 may not be worth much in 2-3 years. But if you buy gold from it and have it at home, you can be sure that you can do something with that gold or silver 2-3 years later, or use it immediately if bank access is closed, for example, and you cannot access your money. And it's important the Africa Business Jumpstarters, that you have several investment and payment options. So investment is the longer term. So let's invest now, okay? And then I can get good value out of it 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. So Bitcoin could be, for example, investment. You cannot make payments. You cannot go online shopping with Bitcoin, but a huge investment, a great investment, one of the best out there right now, that will make you a huge return on investment in a few years. And then instead of everyone else maybe being poor and run down by the economic downfall, you now are in a position to actually take that investment and make a new start. So it's very important that you diversify your payment options, gold, silver, currency, cryptocurrency, and so on. And dear Academy members, I know many of you are online today. This is something we are going to include in the Academy, the whole Great Reset and what to do. And I've already reached out to, a few people in regards to cryptocurrency. John, I've seen you are here today. You have already agreed. This is something we need to understand, because there's no point of me teaching you how to start a business and it all sounds great on paper, but really we have not taken care of the bigger framework, and therefore you will fail. And we need to make sure we take a holistic approach. Okay, so next then will be to invest in the right real estate. Okay, let me just give you a little bit of insights. The right real estate, with that, I mean that not every real estate will be a good investment. A lot of it will go down. Yes, you may get some cheap deals and they may get valuable again in 5 years or 10 years. And it rather looks like 10 years now, because, the Great Reset is set for 10 years at least. But then there's real estate in certain countries, first of all, that will be, that is short in demand. We can see this in the US already. And I know there's some real estate experts among you, but just quickly, what we can see, for example, is that real estate prices in the cities are going down very, very fast. So top apartments in the center of New York City, for example. Why? Because now people have lost their jobs or they're working from home. Why would they need an expensive apartment in the center of the business district of New York? But then now people are going more towards the countryside or smaller towns, and they're looking for cheap real estate there. And guess what? Because everyone is doing it, or a lot of people, now prices there are growing. And I'm sure it looks different for different states and areas, but this was just an example to show you that real estate now is not real estate, doesn't equal real estate. You have to see where and why it makes sense. And then you also need to see, okay, would I get an investment, a return in my investment straight away? Can I actually rent it and make money? And so I would diversify my income stream, or is this a real estate that will get a lot of value in 5 to 10 years? Number 3, start a side hustle or acquire a skill that is of huge value to you and people during a pandemic and economic downfall. So believe it or not, people are talking now about the kind of skills that will be needed when the economy goes down and when kind of the systems collapse. Again, we don't know at what scale that will really happen. A reminder to all of us should be that most economists are comparing it to the Great Depression of 1929. So it will go down quite a lot. And so there's the saying, for example, there are certain skills. It may be, survival skills, or how do you, I don't know, grow vegetable in your garden. It is these kind of skills and side hustles that will receive a new value to people across the globe. And number 4 is to invest in yourself. Okay, and that means you have to be prepared, kind of, as much as you can, mentally and also physically. If you are just struck by worry and fears, that's a problem. You have to prepare yourself mentally. One of you, and you may be sitting in the room, you've sent me an email earlier and say you're excited by the great opportunity that will present itself through the Great Reset. So it's beautiful to see that, there are some of you also who are actually excited by the opportunity that will come out of that. And as someone who has hit rock bottom, personally, I can tell you, rock bottom is terrible, but you can come out a different person and a stronger person and a happier person on the other side. So maybe this is what could happen to us collectively. Who knows? As I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's important you invest in yourself mentally and also in terms of the skills you need to actually get a plan done. Step number three, to make sure that you are prepared for what's going to come, is to start a new business. Either start a new business, or if you have a business already, it's so important that you assess your business and you diversify. That's crucial. And your business or your business concept, either you have had it put together, it's a concept you've been working on, or it's a concept you have already implemented and you are in business. But now you have to assess, is it pandemic proof? Is it economic downfall proof? How will it affect my business? How resilient is my business model? And dear ABBA family, again, to my Academy members, and I'm going to offer many of you to join our Academy at the end of this session. I want to let you know, dear ABBA family, for those of you in tourism, we need to talk about how we will make sure that you are not going to go downhill before you have even started. I think it's a very important session that we will have. We will look at your individual businesses and see, is it pandemic proof? Is it economic downfall proof? Okay, how can we make it resilient? Okay, and there's nothing 100% proof ever, but how can we make it resilient? So it's so important, as you see, the economy goes down, you need to start a new business. That's important because your jobs are not safe. Now, how do you see if something is pandemic proof? So first of all, you can check if your business in an African context is in a pandemic proof industry. The pandemic proof industries are agriculture, food production, retail, and trade. And when I say pandemic proof, everything will be affected. But what I'm saying is they're vital and therefore they will survive. That's what I mean, okay? Agriculture, food production, and related retail and trade, transport and logistics, health, wellness, pharmaceutical, e-commerce and digital solutions. And someone is jumping my system. Maybe it's okay. How did you manage to jump my system? I wonder. Maybe it's some kind of interference from the great. No, I'm just joking. Okay, let's see. Artificial intelligence, where you lose your powers and people who are faster than you. Okay, so share screen again. Okay, e-commerce and digital solutions, ICT, cybersecurity, financial services, investment, acquisitions. So many businesses will go down. If you have money, acquire other businesses, real estate, housing, related services. And here with real estate, again, it really depends, because a lot of real estate will absolutely go down and will not be pandemic proof. But at the end, housing, shelter is necessary. And if you invest in the right area and the right real estate and housing or related services, it can, you can survive. Home entertainment, e-learning, communication. All right. So these are some of the industries that really are relevant and essential. Important is also that your business can be run from home. That is important during a pandemic. And so you have to see, okay, is it possible to run certain aspects of my business or my entire business from home? Because unless you're providing essential services such as food or healthcare, you may be locked down. And it's very important that you assess your business. Do not hope, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, for those of you who have businesses already, do not hope that things will get back to normal as we have known life before. In the words of the founder of the World Economic Forum, it's fiction. We'll see. So how do you make then sure it is economic downfall proof? And again, everything will be impacted. What I mean with that is, how can we reduce risk? First of all, we need to know the sectors that will be hardest hit by the economic downfall globally. It will be the mining and the mineral export sector. It will be the tourism industry. It will be the textile industry, the manufacturing industry, especially when it's non-essential goods. So non-food items or not healthcare and self-care items, and investment projects that depend heavily on foreign capital. These are the kind of industries that were hardest hit in Africa during the Great Recession. Now, it's also maybe interesting, and I want to mention that here. What I found out is when the Great Recession happened and the banking sector collapsed, especially in the US and then Europe, or was impacted upon heavily, some of it collapsed and the system went down. Banks in Africa were actually rather lowly impacted upon. And this is very interesting. This is a very interesting scenario. So this is during the Great Recession, 2008, 2009, is that most banks in Africa did not really feel that impact. So they continued to operate. And there are several reasons for that, and I researched them as well, but I don't want to go into detail. But I want to mention here, what that also means is that some of your money may be safer in an African bank. And for example, they gave an example of Standard Bank in Ghana, which is actually an international bank in Ghana, but still it was the parent bank that was heavily impacted. But then the kind of, let's say, local branch in Africa continued to operate quite normally. And yes, inflation will of course hit a lot of accounts, bank accounts, but generally in the beginning especially, it could be that at least you can access your money and you have some control of your money and you can make transactions. And some currencies will, from history, not experience huge inflation. And these are especially countries, that do not depend, for example, on mineral exports, as an example. So here I just want to give you an example of one of my products in terms of, okay, if I test my products, which is an online course on how to import from Africa. I'm going to introduce that tomorrow, by the way, when we dive into the business models that you can actually start concretely. And we look into the part 2 tomorrow. But I checked, I want to give you an example how you can check this. So let's say I have an online course on how to import from Africa. Now let me check if this is economic downfall proof. Can this business be run or quickly established in any country? That's the question you have to ask yourself. The answer is yes. I run this from Germany. I'm now running it from Rwanda. I could run it from the US, Botswana, China. Okay, so yes. Okay, good. Number 2, can the business make sales without you for a month? Okay, in this particular case, yes, it's online, it's set up, it's automated. I also have a team, a great team that is actually in the room also. Crystal, she's supporting me today from Florida. She will help me with, answering your questions if you're confused about anything. Crystal, and I think we have also in the room possibly Paulette from Kenya, and then Frank and Ange from Rwanda. So these are my team members. And yes, so can my business make sales without you for a month? Absolutely, yes. Great. Also, I have my team in different countries, Kenya, USA, and Rwanda. So if one country will be hit, Crystal, I'm sorry, it will probably hit you first in the US. Then, you know, Rwanda may still be going, or Kenya. So I have taken care of that. Do you have buyers from multiple markets? Absolutely. I have buyers from across the globe, good, but most of my buyers are from the United States. Now that is the market that is going to be most hit, you know, during the economic crisis. So I need to make sure I am able to reach enough people there, but I also need to make sure, because they will need it the most, but I also need to make sure that I diversify my buyer basis. All right, so you need to ask yourself that question, because if people can't get electricity and they can't access their money, and because there's a collapse in the USA, I mean, you know, people would not care to buy an online course. So how does it affect my business as well? So these are the kind of questions you have to ask yourself, be it as a new business startup or as an existing business. Can it be run off grid if electricity fails? By the way, I hope we're going strong. This is internet connection in Rwanda. So far, so good. We're hosting a full room of 500 people live here. That's the maximum number in the Zoom room. And, you know, from my experience, at least a couple of thousand live in YouTube. But also we had electricity cuts here. And now they're saying we will get more of them across Africa normally, but you will experience them in the West. So you will get electricity, you know, cutoffs in Europe and the United States. And if that happens, can I run my business off grid? Well, my answer now, using the example here, well, I have my team, but really I can't. I need to be online. So guess what I did? I made sure I can, you know, I need to now make sure I can access electricity or the internet outside of my house, for example. So quickly looking at starting a digital company in Africa, since we see that the digital component is the main component, one of the main components and pillars in the Great Reset. Here is a list of you know, the kind of scale of digital acceleration in Africa post-COVID. And we can see that a lot of industries have gone digital, but we can also see there's a lot of gaps in some of the key industries. And you see Africa on the right-hand side. So real estate, education, retail trade, healthcare, construction, and agriculture are economic proof industries. They will continue throughout the economic downfall, but guess what? They do not really incorporate digital solutions at a big scale, and there's your opportunity. Step number 4, become self-sufficient and prepare for any emergency. So the question was, which steps are you going to take to prepare for an economic downfall globally at a scale we have never seen in generations? Step 4 now is to become self-sufficient and prepare for any emergency. I love that picture of the young man here. This is a picture I've seen a lot when I was walking through Dodoma in Tanzania. In Dodoma, Tanzania, in the market, everyone seemed to have these small solar panels, and they're charging their radios, their phones, their computers. This is part of becoming self-sufficient. Now, if you think maybe it's all far-fetched to talk about survival. Now look at these 2 pictures, please, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. We've all experienced the empty shops, all of us, after the pandemic hit, especially during March, and when people started to panic. Now, the shelves were then filled again after a while. The reason they were filled again is because our systems worked, the structure of government, banks, supply chain, they worked, and therefore they could fill the shelves. In a global depression, an economic depression, we're talking about a collapse of systems, financial systems, and government systems, supply systems. And if that is not working properly, how are you then expecting for these shelves to be filled? And if the global economic downfall is going to be globally, guess what? Everyone is going to hunt for supply. Now look at the picture to the right-hand side. You can see thousands and thousands and thousands of lorries. This was at the port at the UK around Christmas. Why? They could not pass because of corona restrictions. In these lorries, look at them. I mean, it's not even the full picture. There were thousands. They were stranded for days. People had to feed them because they were stuck in their trucks and they couldn't eat or use the toilet. And that was at the border between basically coming from France into the UK, and possibly the other way around. And now we had the food items, medical items, and all other things stuck in these trucks. We have already been experiencing it. And that is still within somewhat functional systems. Okay, our financial system has not gone down, or our government system. So we've already experienced it. Therefore, to prepare for an emergency is not far-fetched at all. Okay, so what's important? Food, water, light, fire, shelter, information. You need to make sure you have food, store and grow food, secure water sources and medicine. You need to make sure you have light. Look for small solar power solutions. Don't expect your light to go on every day in your house. Buy a torch, fire, buy lighter, matches, learn fire making skills, shelter. Be sure your shelter is secured, or diversify your option, because your shelter may or may not be secured, especially if in city centers. I don't want to, talk about doomsday. It's good to be prepared. And if you're in city centers where protests may occur, or when shelves are empty, and people are starting to panic because shelves are not being refilled after weeks, guess what? Your house in the middle of the city of London or New York may not be as secure anymore, or anywhere else in the world for that matter, if people panic. So make sure you diversify your options also. And then also access to info is important. Get a small radio on battery or solar chargers. And step number 5, and this is the last step, is a suggestion to possibly move to Africa or to move to the countryside. So on the left-hand side, you see an apartment building in Botswana. Botswana showed a strong resilience against the great recession of 2008-2009. You may be much safer on all aspects in that apartment in Gaborone, Botswana, as compared to the other building somewhere in New York City. Just an example. And within Europe, it's being said you're much safer or better off, so to speak, in smaller towns and the countryside. All right, so just quickly, I want to show you, as I promised, what I have done in January 2021, to assess my own situation and the action steps I have taken to prepare as good as I can. And my preparation is not finished yet. Number 1, I researched, and I'm still researching, because I want to have the best understanding possible, and I want to be up to date, and therefore that access to information and then trying to apply that information is crucial. Number 2, I invested in cryptocurrency for the very first time in January. Number 3, I looked for the right real estate investments here in Rwanda. This was something I had planned for March, April. I did it now. Number 4, I am now holding money in various places. So yes, I have my German bank account, but with everything that's being said, I don't know the situation of Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank was already in troubles anyway. So, you know, I'm holding it now in various places, including in the cryptocurrency market, but also I have now, of course, a bank account in Rwanda and in local currency. And I believe that the local currency will not be affected as quickly as the US dollar for basic goods. So the value will not go down as quickly. So I make sure I have my money in different places. So if one closes, I can still access money elsewhere, okay? And various other places possibly as well. You can hold some money at home. I don't have any, just in case you're listening in. But as I said before, you know, I don't know, you may want to buy gold or silver and hold it home, or maybe, you know, buy some kind of other assets that would be very important during an emergency that you can then sell or trade with someone, okay? Number 5, I assessed the risk in my business. I actually sat down and I said, okay, what are the risks in my business? Where is my business pandemic proof? Where is it economic downfall proof? And where is it lacking certain aspects? And then I discussed with the team changes we shall make in the business immediately. And you know, I'm just being aware of the time. I'm really talking a lot. I'm sorry, but I hope this is, you know, this is such important information. But I actually made decisions in this regard as well. I saw some areas where I said, this is not good enough. We need to do it differently now, or we need to do it faster. So a deadline we had in September, we now took forward to May, because I said, we don't have the time. You know, if economic downfall hits mid or later this year, we don't know. Let's do this fast. Number 7, I'm considering monetizing YouTube. For those of you on YouTube, let me know what you think. I am one of the few people who is not monetizing YouTube. I'm just there happily talking. And of course, I mean, I make you aware of my products, but I have never used YouTube advertising, okay? And that is just another income stream for me now. I'm diversifying my income. It's important. If something else doesn't work, that may work. So I've been looking into this, and I am preparing for crisis on a household level, okay? So today I try to cover as much as I can in a short span of a web class to show you how the world is changing and how we in our African businesses have to adjust to survive. Let me just stop the screen share for a second here. You know, I really appreciate how most of you are really sitting and listening. And I know it's not easy to just listen to someone who kind of talks and talks and talks. But let me hear from you, first of all. I mean, what did you make of that information so far? Was it an eye-opener? Maybe you think it's hyped. Maybe you think it's crucial. Maybe you think, you know, oh my God, I need to do something as a wake-up call. Did you get some important pointers? Very informative. Thank you. Vital information. I loved it. The information is critical, real, and timely. Okay, fantastic. So I'm glad to hear that. And I know for some of you, this was maybe not news or new. But again, today also, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, you know, those of you who are already my clients in my Academy family, those of you who are in my importing program, importing from Africa program, but everyone else online, today also marks a new direction, how I will lead forward. And I'm someone, I think big, I think strategy, but I'm also good at looking at risk and strategizing around that. You know, everyone has different skills. That is maybe my talent. I'm useless at looking at details sometimes. My team can attest to that. But it's so important to understand the framework in which you're operating, because otherwise nothing makes sense. Okay, so it marks a new direction for me as an Africa business leader in terms of how I will train, how I will teach, but also what kind of business opportunities I will promote. And as an example, as much as I love tourism, and I'm sure tourism will come back, because as human beings, we love to explore, we love to travel, we love to make connections. It's in us. It's in us. But and there will be ways how to adapt tourism. I will show you tomorrow in part 2 of the training. For example, if you're in tourism, how to adapt your tourism company in a way that it becomes more pandemic proof. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But me as a trainer, I will not go on YouTube and talk again about big investment in tourism. You know, you've seen my YouTube video maybe in Kenya, how to invest in tourism vehicles for the tourism industry, and what great passive income stream that is. But it doesn't make sense in the new framework. So one thing I want to make you sure is I will talk much more about food, agriculture, trade. I've always done that, but it's essential and relevant. I will talk much more about digital businesses, tech, digital solutions. And I will talk much more about climate change solutions across industries, because I truly believe that this makes very powerful positioning for the future. So climate change and eco solutions in the context of Africa, be it housing, construction, agriculture, manufacturing, energy and all that, we'll see more of that, going forward in the Africa Business Jumpstart community. Okay, so yeah, basically, let me say, I really don't want to talk much. It's been already too much. So that was basically the content. I wanted to make you aware. And I really felt it was hugely important that we are aware. Now it's up to each one of you to do something about it. And especially if you are responsible for other people, children, spouses, elderly parents, or people in your family where they will be the first affected because they really do not have a safety net whatsoever. So I think the worst thing, as I said, you can do now is to kind of just sit and wait for the coronavirus to discontinue. So what I want to quickly do now is, this is it in terms of content. You may leave the session and go back to starting your 2021 emergency plan. But the session is not over for those of you who want to continue. I just like to say this is it in terms of the value information. But what I want to do now is 2 things as quickly as possible, because Arsenal is playing Manchester United, and my little one is waiting for that, and I promised him to finish before that. Okay, so let's rush. So no, I'm not joking, but I'll take my time. So I want to quickly invite you to the Africa Business Academy, and I will do it very fast. You know my programs right now. I will quickly invite, for those of you who want to join. I will do that in the fastest way I've ever done. And then I will allow a few questions, okay? And then tomorrow we shall meet again at 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is 4 p.m. UK time, where I will share 10 concrete business opportunities that you can start in Africa that are pandemic proof and economic downfall proof. Okay, so I hope we'll meet tomorrow. We'll have a bigger opportunity tomorrow for more of your questions, business related questions, than today. Today, I just wanted to set the framework. So quickly, am I allowed to make a quick invitation to you? Let me see, invitation to our Africa Business Academy, where we will work together on our businesses, Africa businesses, and investments in a group context. It also allows us to work together and not feel lonely in this regard. Ready and waiting, yes, please share it. Okay, fantastic. So I'll do it very fast, and then we go to Q&A. Let me do this fast. All right, so okay, so hold on. Yeah, now you have three options to all of you. Option one is you do nothing about the Great Reset, Africa's huge opportunities, and today's insight. And let me tell you, the masses, most of the people will do nothing about it. And I always pledge to you, be different than the masses. The masses will listen, they will even hear, and then they will panic when everyone else is panicking. Option two is you take the new insights that you have received today and you run with them. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Find a smart business model that works for you and just get started. And option three, you stay for the remaining time of the web class to learn how you can get your African business started fast and confidently with my direct support, and how you cut the risk, including the risk from the pandemic and the economic downfall. Welcome to the Africa Business Academy. This is my inner circle of members and clients, and we work closely together, and we meet live weekly to discuss concrete business concepts. What you're going to get is you instantly become a respected member of our Africa Business Academy with close to 300 active members right now. I'm happy to say. This means you will have immediately access to the following. Number one, you will get access to myself as a leading international Africa business trainer, probably the only one who really teaches the diaspora how to do business in Africa in terms of strategy, in terms of cutting down time, risk, and cost. I've really, tailored my solutions to the African diaspora. Having said that, we are also getting an increasing number of people from the continent in the Africa Business Academy, and I want to increase that even more because I'm on the continent now for some reason. So the value of that is $5,997, and I'm talking about the value, the market value. If you would hire a coach for 1 year, even in a group setting, this the kind of, if you have personal access to that coach and other experts, that's what you usually pay. It's the market value for 1 year of academy membership. You also get live group mentorship and success coaching weekly by our great coaches and experts. We have Pamela, who is an agricultural expert on Uganda. She's also an import and trade export. You get access to Akosua, who is our Ghana expert in terms of investment and doing business in Ghana. Just last week, Akosua was hosting for our academy members someone from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center in terms of the diaspora desk, how you can invest in Ghana as a diaspora or do business there. We have Chinonso also, who is an amazing entrepreneur from Nigeria for Sabi writers. He has started and grown an incredible company. He's employing now over 40 staff. And he is an amazing trainer also in regards to building your team and how you really become successful in business starting from scratch. These are our ABBA coaches. We also invite other experts. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was in December actually, we were hosting an expert on investing and business in Tanzania, who also works now with our academy members who want to do business in Tanzania. So we bring these experts and business leaders to you, and you can actually talk to them on a weekly basis and really get insights and guidance. We also have monthly winning business training videos, so monthly videos that you can watch in your own time. What does it take to start a business? What are the most important aspects to allow you to make fast progress? And we have, of course, the ABBA community. A shout out to ABBA. Who is in the room? Let us know, dear ABBA members. Let us know, are you ABBA? Let us know in the chat box, in the Zoom room and on YouTube. shout out to our dear ABBA family. You know, I really appreciate you so much. And I know we also have a lot of our importers in the room, but hey, your day is tomorrow in regards to introducing the importing program after we have looked at 10 concrete business models tomorrow. So yeah, you know, having access to that community or actually building your business in a community that's like-minded, I think is priceless. When I started my business, it has been often very lonely. And then if you sign up today, you will also get this amazing bonus, which is an access to my virtual Africa Business Bootcamp. The one I'm holding usually in London and New York City. But guess what? I have one more bonus for you, because all of my clients will get free access. Free access. All ABBA family members, Academy members, will get free access to my first ever live virtual Africa Business Bootcamp online. So live. I cannot hold it in London or New York City, of course, for the reasons that are well known. I will hold it live for the very first time, and you get all free access to it for the Academy members. And new, this is for all of you who actually want to join us today, or for those of you who are already in the ABBA, we will make the aspect and the topic of how to prepare for the Great Reset. I will include this as a new category in ABBA. And as I said, one action I already took is to reach out to a cryptocurrency expert. One of them is John, sitting in the room here, to teach us and show us so we can quickly diversify our income streams, our investment streams, but also make sure our money is stored in different areas. So I'm already taking action. This will be new at ABBA to make sure we are reducing risk when we are building our businesses. Here's quickly what you will get. So the access to me for 1 year has a value of $5,997. Access to all our experts, also $5,997. Monthly winning business training videos, $1,997. The virtual bootcamp course, $297. And then access to opportunities, partners, experts, and support and network of like-minded member. All of that is priceless. So the total value is $14,229. That's like the market value. You know, how much of value would it be in terms of building that business and making sure you have access to all these experts, and you're reducing your risk? Because once you go into risk, it can quickly cost you 15,000 within a day, you know, if you don't know what you're doing wrong. But now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $14,228 US. You're probably thinking, what is my investment? So are you ready? I'm going to share it with you. Today, you can get started for $97 a month. And dear Crystal, please share the link with everyone in the Zoom room first, and then in the YouTube channel. So today you can start from $97 a month. You can also pay the whole year, and you will become a member for an entire year. That means, you know, we really will start discussing your business models, but we will also talk to experts to look at the opportunities, the risks, to get expert guidance across several markets and industries. And yeah, I've already pointed out the benefits that you can get. Now, I know that $97 may be you know, a lot for you, for some of you, especially since you know, the situation is looking difficult for many of you. Now, first of all, I want to say, for those of you who still have money, we just talked about you getting prepared. And one of the biggest preparation you can make is not just to maybe hoard toilet paper and rice, or to invest in cryptocurrency, but to really invest in yourself. And that means to have your own business, so you are not being controlled by you know, an employee who may go, sorry, by an employer who may go down, and then you don't have control over that. It's important that you start your own business. That is the maximum of control you can get. Important now, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, is that we make sure that you build business models that are also as much as possible pandemic and economic downfall proof. And that's something I'm committing myself to, okay? So here's also something I'm going to do. And this is for the very, very first time. And I know there are so many of you, but I need to kind of narrow down, otherwise I'll be flooded. So here is what else I will do. For those of you who lost their jobs, okay, who lost their jobs already due to COVID, number one, you lost their job, and number two, you don't have saving or another asset, so you kind of completely broke. If you can send me kind of a proof that you lost your job, maybe a letter from your employer or something, and you really, really want to join this program, I'm going, for the very first time in my business, I'm going to sponsor a few of you, okay? And I hope that you will just be trustworthy. This is something I've never done, but guess what? They said caring and sharing, so let me start. Let me start. You know, if you've just lost your job and you have no outlook, and you need something to keep you in line and to get started, write me an email, put and on the subject field, put caring and sharing in the subject field, okay? Put caring and sharing in the subject field, and I need a proof. So you need to send me an attachment in terms of something, you know, from your employer or something. I don't know, something, because I know many of you may write in, and I cannot give it to too many. So let's see what's coming in. I'm doing this the first time, seriously. But caring and sharing, let's start right here. And I want us to come together, you know, and support each other. That's my way of doing it. If you do still have money in a job or a business, please pay the 97 and join us anyway, okay? It's important that we come together, that we support each other, but that we build businesses that will see us through the crisis. If you have a job, guess what? You still need a business, either to replace it or to have a second income. That's my honest opinion. If you have one business, guess what? You need to diversify it. So you have 2 streams, 3 streams, 4 streams of income, all right? And yeah, that's it. So your new start starts right now in January 2021, or whenever you are watching this replay. Your investment for 1 year ABBA membership is $97 a month. Crystal is sharing the link. And here you have it again. www is a secured one. go.africajumpstart.com/ABBA-membership. And I will also share it under the YouTube video, the replay. So if you're watching the replay, you can just go under the video and click the link, okay? So we'll keep this open for a few more days, and tomorrow we shall meet for our part number 2, where I will share concrete business models for you. Okay, so let's have a couple of questions. And as I said, I know there will be so many questions, and we have never had such a packed room, really. Today, it will be limited. I will take maybe, let's say, depending on 5-7 questions, something like that. Tomorrow, we'll have more time for your questions. So join us tomorrow. Today, my kids have been so patient with me for days, preparing this, researching this, and going crazy. So let them watch the Arsenal-Manchester United game. All right, so I'm sure some of you are watching too. All right, so yes, please, who goes first? Always the people who are visible go first. I can see user Luki. I can just wave into the camera if you're visible, okay. Actually, I have too many pages here. Lafayette. All right, let's go one by one. There's so many pages. Jackie Dallas, I cannot see all of you on one page. Go ahead, please, user Lucky. User Lucky. Oh, I need to allow you to unmute. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Mute. allow participants to unmute. Please don't unmute yourself unless your name was called. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It's afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lucky. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I live in Toronto, Canada. My question would be, because I've been following you for a while, and I just newly registered for this. I've only paid for the first month, so I've listened to a lot of your videos anyway on YouTube. I was preparing to come to Rwanda to come take a look there to see what I can do, but now yesterday we have a new traveling ban in Canada. So the Prime Minister just spoke yesterday, so there's no way for me to travel now. And the effect is going to start from on Monday. So I can't travel now. I have to wait because when you leave Canada, I'm a citizen.
Anyway, so sorry to interrupt you. Just because we're short of time and we want to take about 7 people. So
Okay.
quickly the question, and I understand the circumstance. Thank you for understanding. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question would be like the real estate you're talking about. What would be your advice on the right real estate to invest on? You know, like in Rwanda.
Generally, or in Rwanda in particularly?
Yes.
Okay, so in Rwanda particularly, first of all, I have not concluded my research. So far, what I can say is the real estate market is booming. People are building, constructing, investing, and so on. Of course, you have a lot of empty buildings, houses as well. So some houses, for example, that are not a good investment at this point, I believe, are these big villas with a lot of rooms. So you have these 5-6 bedroom villas in beautiful areas. And you know, they had been usually rented to expats or people in UN jobs or international jobs, and many of them have left. And so we can see a lot of these villas being empty, and they're not finding new people to rent them. And even the villa I'm renting until I'm building my own house, it's been gone down in price a lot. So that, for example, for the time being, in my view, is not a good investment unless you manage to break it up in units. So instead of having one house with 5 bedrooms for one family or one business, you can, you know, create possibly units out of that. Also, anything in regards to accommodation for tourists can be difficult right now. So I think the best accommodation so far, from what I've seen, is some smaller houses in top locations. So there's some top locations where you just know this price will go up rapidly in a couple of years or in a few years to come. Because these are prime locations, and guess what? Suddenly you can buy houses there or pieces of land because it's not as active. So I would know some of these locations like Nyarutarama, Kagugu, and so on, to just name a few. And then also, I believe there's some luxurious real estate that's being built, apartments, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and they're really selling fast. So maybe there's a slowdown going to come. I'm not sure, but they're still popular. There's still a lot of people, including a lot of Africans with money, and I believe people will also wait for some of the prices to go down and then to purchase. So I haven't concluded my real estate assessment here. I'm in the middle of it, but I will be investing myself, that I already know, in some of the prime locations where I know the prices will go up big time. But that is not an immediate investment. It's for me like a 5-7 year investment. If you want a return on investment immediately, that is something I'm still trying to figure out, how you can. And generally speaking, people are looking for smaller accommodation, you know, and that can be easily managed. People may be looking for things like a garden now because they're locked at home. So yeah, so I'm sure there are some more experts on it, but that is what I can give you so far for Rwanda.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question, or you have to ask other people?
Oh, I mean, Usually I would say yes, and everyone who knows me knows I would say yes. But today I have to say no because I want to give others the opportunity. I hope you understand. Come back tomorrow.
I understand.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you
definitely.
for
I'll be
understanding.
online tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. So the next two I already called. Grab the microphone. Go ahead. Be fast. Remember, if you're too slow, you will be eaten.
Hello.
Okay. Yes, please. Yes, Jackie. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Hardnett. I just wanted to know, can you open a bank account in Rwanda if you're not there? Do you have to be there to open a bank account?
If you're not there, that's a good question. So first of all, the easiest bank in Rwanda is the Bank of Kigali. The easiest bank as a non-national to get something opened quickly is the Bank of Kigali. You can check if it's possible to do it from afar. I'm not sure, to be honest. They have a diaspora kind of branch, but I think that may be Rwandan diaspora, not every African diaspora. But if you travel here, you can open a business very quickly. An account very quickly with them. Yeah. And I've tried other banks as well, and it was more complicated. Right. So that's why Bank of Kigali is the easiest. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lockdown, so we can't travel. But I wondered if I could open a bank account, even though I can't travel there yet.
Yeah. Interesting question. You know, interesting question. Yeah, but I doubt it. But call them up. Call them up. They're quite good in giving information like that. Call them up, I would say, Jackie.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I like Hamid. Hamid is coming like he's putting, yes, visible is always good. But I called someone else, Hamid. The other person I called, please grab the mic. Otherwise it will be Hamid and then George Tucker, our friend George. Okay, go ahead, Hamid. George, and then who else did I see? Wave, keep on waving. I have several pages of video. Charles, Howard, Wayne Jones. Okay, go ahead.
All right, two-part question, real quick. First question is, what is the best way to get to you for a consultation to discuss a business idea? And secondly, what do you think the outlook is like for online education in Africa, but primarily with younger kids, with the school system being as expensive as it is right now for locals?
Okay, great, Hamid, thank you. So question number one, the easiest way to get access to me, actually almost the only way, is through the Africa Business Academy, which is the program that we have shared today. Crystal, please share the link again. Okay, sorry, I just got a message from Zoom. Okay, so that is actually the only way, and I hope that you will understand. I know some of you, you're writing emails to me with questions. You know, due to the nature of my business, I have hundreds and thousands of people, you know, writing comments, questions everywhere on different platforms. I cannot possibly, answer all of them for free. I mean, this is what we do here. I take my time here. But it would be outside of my capacity. So that's why I built the Africa Business Academy. So that's the only way. The question number two, Hamid, was, what was it again? Give me a pointer, sorry.
It's the school,
online
education, young kids, Africa, expensive local schools, online options.
Yes. So I would say, Hamid, absolutely. First of all, e-learning has become a must everywhere. You know, even my kids are doing learning online now, although they're registered for school. But also because we see the world changing. And so there are people who actually say, you know, our school system, everything may change. We may not do as much in person-to-person interaction anymore. So with the pandemic, with the economic downfall, I think more and more people will understand that this is the way forward for their children. And it's not just teaching as a teacher, it's also tutoring, it's also support. Parents feel overwhelmed. So I think, Hamid, important is, first of all, that you find the right country in Africa. It would be a country where the population is really IT savvy. All right, it would possibly, Kenya is a very good country. Education is very high in the list, very tech savvy. Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. Rwanda is also very tech savvy, but a much smaller market in this regard, I would say. So yeah, absolutely. I think to be honest, in this regard, Kenya would be my top market if I had to make a choice, because there's a strong combination between tech savviness and education, and a lot of private education happening as well, and a lot of parents who can afford your private education. That's also important online. All right. Okay, I hope I answered. Yes, please. If I've mentioned your name, grab the microphone.
Good afternoon, Dr. Harnett.
Yes, George. Great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hope you are.
Yes, thank you.
I was having some internet challenges or laptop challenges. Just a quick question. What do you see on the horizon for Sierra Leone?
I have to really pass down on that one. I have to confess. I don't know Sierra Leone well enough, you know. Generally speaking, Sierra Leone had a lot of challenges in the past. I'm just generally speaking now. It's emerging in a lot of ways. But for you to start a business in a country that is, let's say, where the emerging economy is progressing much slower than compared to other countries in the market. If you compare it to Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, you know, these are some of the really fast emerging markets in West Africa. Then I think it is much more difficult to get something started in a countries such as Sierra Leone. And usually from experience also, you know, once then there's a lot of like economic impact on the country, it will become even more difficult. So if I would say, if I had the choice in West Africa, I would start with markets where it will be easier to make an entry as an Africa diaspora, and then expand later into other West African markets. Once you have a business running, you know your cash flow or the investment has worked, and now you are replicating it across borders because you're in a good position to do that. That's usually the strategy I would use. Always go with the least resistance. Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, agriculture is, I think, if I would use a country such as Sierra Leone, I would probably go with a sector such as agriculture. So where it is first pandemic proof and economic proof, but then also a large part of the population would understand agriculture, and it's probably one of the industries that is, you know, it's a priority industry for the country. So I would definitely go with a priority industry in the country, and one that is, as we said, pandemic proof. So
we're
around agriculture and related.
We're doing starting that in Ghana, but the reason why I was kind of halfway looking at Sierra Leone, they're the only African country that's offering citizenship to the diaspora, and you just you know, and they made the process real simple. You know, if you have a DNA, you prove DNA that you are from one of the tribes. Yeah. And they just a group this month, 24 diaspora.
All right. Okay, George. Thank you. I know, George, your internet is also not very stable, just like mine.
Okay.
Just right now. Yeah. So, George, yeah, I'm sorry, your internet wasn't stable. And then also, because remember, this is not the academy. We like have 400 other people. But still, your information is appreciated. And I think some people took notes that you can get citizenship in Sierra Leone as a diasporan, and that is very valuable information. I did not know that. So thank you for the input. Appreciate it.
Hello.
So, yes, please go
Wayne
ahead.
Jones.
Yes, Wayne, please go ahead.
Hi, yes, from St. Louis, Missouri. I would like to know in regard to
Oh, you muted yourself again. Oh, sorry, unmute yourself, Wayne, again. I apologize.
Okay.
I think it was me.
In distinction between adult and children's e-learning, which is the larger, more lucrative market? How do they compare?
Oh, this is an interesting one. I would say both hold a lot of value. The e-learning for children, I think it's more like a master necessity. You know, if something doesn't work, you kind of need to go to e-learning. While the adult learning or training is really becoming a major industry trend. So, you know, especially when we have the pandemic now and the economic downfall, people realize that they actually have to change something. And then so the learning of how to invest, the learning of how to make money, the learning of how to take care of your health, going through a pandemic, and all these aspects, I think, can be of great value, or certain skills that would allow people to start a side hustle, maybe a skill that you have that you can transfer. And so I just believe that the training of adults in very important, or businesses, by the way, Wayne, not just adults, but also businesses, business leaders. Sure. I think that makes a much more powerful business model in terms of also the marketing and the selling, and that is not something that would be fluctuating a lot. It's been a trend that has been there for a while, and it's still fast growing. While the e-learning for children is more like a new trend, I think it's a little bit more, the trend goes up and down depending on if there's a lockdown or not. Although I believe it's also a trend to stay, I don't think it is as prominent as the training for adults and businesses. And therefore, if I had the choice, I would go for adults and excuse me, adults and businesses.
Great.
Yeah, this is Charles. How are you today?
Okay, Wayne, you see, Charles is a quick one. One of the fast ones. He will definitely survive the economic downfall. Good, go ahead, Charles. Yeah.
My question is, whenever we go from one part of the world to the other, there's sort of a lockdown. I don't know how to say that. But my question is, how are you received in the Kigali or Kampala, you know, or in Kenya, if you come from, say, West Africa, say from Nigeria or Liberia or Ghana? When you go to register, establish a business, how are you looked at? And the reason why I ask that question is because I have been to both places, Kampala and Kigali, and I felt like I was like just being looked at like a total stranger or something like that. So I wanted to find out from you, what is your own impression? Because we all should be Africans. So if I come to Kigali, you know, no one should look at me like, oh, where are you from? Who you are? So what is your own experience with that?
Okay. Yes, Charles. Thank you. Interesting question. You know, yes, you know, you will be looked at. I'm looked at. My children are being looked at. You know, my son is like, "What are they looking at?" And I'm like, "Well, they're looking at you, and they're looking at us. You know, because we just look different. They see we are guests. You know, I think it's, first of all, how you see it. How do you take a perspective towards that? Do you feel maybe offended by it or uncomfortable? You know, or do you say, well, you know, they have an interest in me, in us, I'm different, I look different. So first of all, what you believe, I think, is the most important, how you take it. Secondly, I think it's human, it's natural. So if Rwandese would come to Nigeria, they would also look at him and see, oh, you're not from here, you know. So, you know, but embrace it. Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda has business people from across the globe. And, you know, they're becoming more and more countries that are really exposing themselves to the world. Especially Kenya is very competitive at a global level. And so I think that generally speaking, I can also only say everyone is welcome. And you know, I think it's what you make out of it. So it's good to be different, because you may bring something to the country as wherever you come from. I think you said Nigeria, as a Nigerian or a West African, that that the country you are coming to does not have or does not know. So you can also bring a new perspective into your business, you know, or a new dimension. So that means if people do business with you, guess what? They can now also access the Nigerian market. Or if they buy from you, they can now also have access to products from West Africa because you're that link. So I always see it as it's a value added. And the more you tell that yourself, the quicker you will adjust.
How is the business registration? Is it
That's
very easy?
my experience.
Is it very smooth, the business registration? Is it very easy and smooth?
Yes, Rwanda, Kenya, very easy and smooth. Uganda, I have to say, it depends on the industry. And also, again, yes, maybe also the country coming from the industry. So I think that can vary. Rwanda, no matter where you come from, what business, what industry, you will get your business license within 24 hours. So that means if you're registering your business today, you will have your business license tomorrow. And that is a fact, by the way. Yeah. So that's the beauty about Rwanda. They don't ask where you come from, you have it next day. Kenya also does it very fast. Kenya also have made huge improvements in terms of business registration. They also have e-registration. So both of them have e-registration. You can register your business online, both in Rwanda and Kenya. I would not do it yet. Don't be quick to do it, because you also then need to, you know, report to Inland Revenue for taxes and so after 6 months. So once you're ready, once you have done your research and you're ready to go, that's when you should really register your business. But both countries, very easy, fast, and e-booking, e-registration, no matter where you're from. Okay, next question, please.
Do you think technology
Charles, I'm so sorry.
there?
Charles, I'm so sorry. I think I already gave you 2 questions while I said to the other one, he cannot have a second one. I didn't even need. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, whoever I called, go ahead. I'll take 2, 3 more questions. Go ahead.
This is Ermias. This is Ermias from Dubai. I'm living in UAE.
Ermias, I have not called you, but I like your go-getter attitude. So we'll have Ermias, Jonas, Eric, and Oni. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Be fast, everyone.
Yeah, I've taken the import from Africa class, the 12 modules, and I'm very much happy. And really, I want to thank you first, because I got a lot of information. But I have one question. Living in UAE, everybody knows that it's very expensive just to set up business here, just to do import items from Africa. And I have experience also for that in other country, in Bahrain and other country in Middle East. But having a registered company in my home country, in Addis Ababa, while I'm living here in UAE, if I have customers here in UAE who needs products from Africa, is it possible to have a contract with the African exporters, and dealing with the UAE importers, like an agent?
Yes,
with my Ethiopian registered company?
Yes. So, Ermias, I think what is important, of course, are the laws of Dubai, or your United Arab Emirates. Now, the thing is, once you start earning income, being based in Dubai, then you're basically responsible you know, for tax system and everything in Dubai if you have your residence there. I would agree with you that the easiest business model is an agency status, because basically you're a broker. That means you're only connecting the sellers in Africa with the buyers in Dubai. And that is an easy business model, and it would be very easy to get a permit for that. And, you know, because you're just a broker, you're connecting two people. You're not the one trading products, importing them, warehousing them, transporting them. So that's the best business model. But once because you're registered in Dubai as a resident, you need to pay taxes there.
Sure. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. That's my question.
You're welcome. But it's the easiest business model, and also Hermes is a business model with very low risk. So the beauty of that is, no matter if you're in Dubai, if you have then a portfolio of clients, you may be in Dubai, you may be going back to Addis, you may be traveling somewhere else in Africa, you can still make those sales basically online, you know, through communication, because that portfolio of buyers has been set up, and they will be ordering again and again and again. So this is a beautiful business model that is pandemic proof and also somewhat economic downfall proof. So
thank you very much.
You know,
I'm working here. I'm working here as a professional.
Hermes, I'm so sorry. I need to. Yeah, you already said thank you, but I kept going.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Okay, you're welcome. So if I have called you, take the microphone. 3 more, otherwise we'll continue tomorrow. 3 more. Crystal, please share the link. Don't forget to you know, join us on the Africa Business Academy. So if you're enjoying this or saying this is valuable, because I get my questions answered, well, you get this every week in the Africa Business Academy, and there we are not so many members like here, so you really get to ask a question each time.
Hi, Doctor. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes. Have I called you?
Yeah, I saw. It's my first time on this meeting, but I saw like a high five, something like that, a wave.
I can't remember calling Taipa. Okay, hold on, Taipa. Let's first take the ones that. Go ahead. Otherwise, everyone will take in the mics.
Okay.
All right. Let's go one by one. Hold on, Taipa. Hold on. Okay. I think I haven't called you. I want to make sure not everyone is just. I'm gonna take you, but please don't jump on your mics now unless I have called your name. Jonas, Michael, Eric Hamden, Onyi, and Velma Redding, and Taipa. That's it. And the rest tomorrow. Quickly. Now I've called your name. Grab the mics and go. The fastest will win.
Hello.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Hi.
And be fast with your questions.
Yes, this is Jonas from Canada. Hi, Dr. Harnett. I've been watching your sessions for some time now.
Jonas,
and my question is,
I'm so sorry. Just question. Yes.
Yeah. My question is, I'm not sure which business I can start with from here, not without going to travel to Africa. I'm not sure exactly what.
Where are you based?
Currently, I'm in Canada, Manitoba.
Okay, Canada. So, Jonas, will you be available tomorrow for the live tomorrow?
Yes, sure.
Okay, good. Because tomorrow I will talk about that, the kind of concrete business models that you can start, also from afar and also inside Africa.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Then.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
See you.
Thank you, Jonas. Okay.
Bye.
Next.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Dr. Harnett, for the presentation.
Eric?
Yes, it's Eric. I just have a quick question. So I took a virtual bootcamp, and then I'm also part of the import-export. And considering joining the ABBA family. Is there coaching with the import and export?
Connection?
Sorry, I'm not sure
Eric,
if you got my question.
Unfortunately, your internet connection. Yeah, Eric, unfortunately, your internet connection is weak. I'm sorry about that. So maybe try it again tomorrow. Taipa, I'm sorry, Eric. It was breaking. Maybe you type it. Taipa, Velma.
I got his question, which was the same as mine.
Okay. Sorry. Onyi, Velma, and Taipa.
Yes, Onyi here. Hello. Good evening, Dr. Harnett. My question is regarding residency issues in different African countries, citizenship, temporary papers. Is it hard to get? Because the information I'm getting is that amongst we Africans, it's harder to get status or permanent residency within Africa. It's almost easier to get in Europe. I'm living in UK. So I just want to know what your take is on that area, because a lot seem to be talking about Rwanda, but you know, I think someone asked me a question about Zambia, and I've inquired about Zambia. It's quite hard to buy land in Zambia. So I just want to know what you have to say on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Oni, for the question. I mean, as you've rightly pointed out, there are so many markets and they all have different regulations. And, you know, for some countries, it's very, very difficult to get it as a non-national. I mean, in countries like Angola, DRC, if you're non-national, it's hard. Then there are countries where it depends on what kind of industry you get started, you know. So some industries are kind of supported, and so you can get a business registration as a non-national. You know, Ghana, I believe, still has that discussion going on. Who is the diaspora? You know, the Ghanaian diaspora, of course, gets quickly their permit or business license and their resident status. But if you're non-Ghanaian, then it is not as straightforward. You need to make sure that you have a business in one of the priority sectors, for example. That is the latest state of knowledge that I have, in order to be able to get you a business license. So they are priority sectors. In that regard, you would get, you know, you don't need a maximum income amount of capital to be put forward, but you can also get a business license therefore quickly. And with that, a residence license. But I don't know the details of all countries, I really have to say, also because they change all the time. So, you know, so I think the best is you need to reach out for whatever country you're interested in to the investment promotion center of that country. So Zambia has an investment promotion center. So if you Google investment promotion center Zambia, you will get the name. Or Ghana, investment promotion center Ghana. Ghana now has a diaspora office in their investment promotion council, the GIPC. So, so those are the right people to really ask to get the detailed information, but to also get the latest information. And it's very difficult for me to kind of understand all markets, but also catch up with their latest regulations. So that's what I would do. All the investment promotion councils across Africa have different names. In each country, they are different, but just Google Investment Promotion Council plus the name of the country you're interested in. Then you will get the web link and with contact details. And they are the go-to authority for anyone who wants to do business and investment in the country.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah?
Thank you.
So they would know about the registration of a residence as well. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, next. Onyi, Taipa, and Velma. And Eric, I'm checking if, I'm sorry, Eric, that I cut you off. I was checking if you said something in the chat box. I can't see it. Maybe otherwise you have a chance tomorrow. I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric. Okay. Taipa, Velma, go ahead. Otherwise, that's it. All right, you've changed your minds. Okay, fine. So if that's the case, we give the chance to one more person. Let me see who I can see waving. Okay, I can see Michael with a purple shirt. Go ahead, Michael.
Good evening, doctor. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, straight to your question. Yes, please.
Thanks a lot for what you're doing. Quite great. I've been following you since last year. There was in one of your programs last year, you talked about money transfer and inter-African currency exchange. Do you think such a business is still viable, you know, with this situation that is coming up of what you just told us?
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are making money from money transfers through remittances. So from the Western world, the diaspora to back home, remittances is a huge business in Africa, and it will continue. Especially when the economy goes down. Also, more people in Africa will need that support. Although also then more of the diasporans will struggle to send the money. I remember that was a huge issue during 2008, 2009. And yeah, people also make money through the exchange rate in certain countries. So that will absolutely be viable and needed. However, I believe it may become more risky and volatile. Because when you have the economic downfall globally, you now have inflation, loss of currency value. It's going to be a mess. And I'm not sure this is the best business or the best time to get into. I can just see a lot of it's going to be volatile and riskier. And so I would probably at this time, it may not be the right timing. That's my quick assessment.
Okay.
All right. So dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, thank you so very much for your trust as always, for your engagement. We had an amazing engagement. Huge majority of you is still here almost 3 hours later, and I said it's going to be a quick session. So thank you so much, and I really hope that you have received value and that you get started with putting up your plan. Tomorrow we shall meet again at 11 a.m. EST, Eastern Time. That's 4 p.m. UK time. Same link in the Zoom room or live on YouTube. And tomorrow we will dive into 10 concrete business models that you can start right now that are pandemic proof and economic downfall proof. At least risk is being reduced. There's no such thing that 100% proof business model. Again, I hope that many of you will be joining us at the Africa Business Academy. Our ABBA family will be working on real businesses in real times, and you will have the access to me and other experts who really understand how things are unfolding, and we're also on the ground. That means we can bring you some of the real, time experience from here as well. Crystal, please share the link once more, and we shall meet again tomorrow. And that's it. Let's continue building for the continent of Africa, but also let's now all prepare for what's going to come. It will be a major challenge, I believe, for many, but also an amazing opportunity. Let's keep the hope up. Let's focus on the opportunity while we prepare for the risks. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everyone. I'm actually going to unmute everyone. Bye. Yes, please shout out.
See you tomorrow.
Right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Awesome info.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. From London, UK.
I had a question.
Hey.
I could bring it up now.
Hi, everyone.
Dante Georgia.
Someone was asking me about land.
Tahana, if you're still here, I've got a question.
No question time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
About land.
Relocation tomorrow. Huh?
Bye. I'm waiting for you to join.
My question is really, really important.
There is a meeting tomorrow. Oni. Tomorrow.
Bye.
Say to come back tomorrow, Oni. Bye.
Question is very easy.
Anyone from Jamaica in the house?
God bless you.
Anyone from Jamaica?
I think we should have a session just to say goodbye. Really good.
Maybe we should stay. We should stick around and Have another one.
Zambia.
Hey, Ati Atabong, how are you? Hello. Hey, hello.
Hi. The session is over.
Victor, Untouchable, how are you? Denise, hello. JC, hello.
Is everybody
Joy, hello.
Bye.
Cam, hello. Moe and Oni, Delma, Patrice,
See you
hello and bye.
tomorrow.
Thank you
Dan,
so much, Doctor.
hello and bye. John.
All right, take care. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you later.
Gina, Queen, bye-bye.
All right, take care.
My African brothers and sisters.
One love.
Mercy, bye-bye. Jackie, Queen and William, Michael.
Oh dear. What's going on? Bye.
Slowly, slowly, slowly.
Oh no. Swahili in the house. Oh my God. Hanet, there's no host. The host should
mwanamke anakuta amenyongwa asubuhi hayuko uchi. Sasa tunakaa sisi wenyewe.
Bye. Bye bye.
Crystal, close the group.
Bye, everyone.
What's up, Anita?
So funny.
Have a good day, everyone.
All right. Please, I'm curious.
Bye.
Someone was talking about Zambia land. Very important. I'm very curious to. Someone was asking me a question about land in Zambia.
Bye. Join tomorrow. Crystal, close the group.
Okay, no.
Where is the host?
No, the host left it open for us. She left it open so we can.
No, no. Close the room. This is Dr. Hanek space.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, but
Bye. Master forgot to close the room.
Because this is. Oh, anyway, never mind. I don't want to. The starter box. Good night.
Do you have any clean cups to hand now? So y'all need to be waiting in the room.
Bye.
Thank you. Y'all ain't about to be running around. Sit y'all over hands down. When somebody's giving y'all something to eat or drink, y'all sit down and wait for it.
Better get out because you're live on YouTube as well. Bye-bye.
We're probably being used as research animals.
You're being recorded on YouTube. Please leave the room. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Atem, you've been given the host. Can you close the room? Atabong seems to be the host. Can you close the room?
Yes, I can. So everybody, Dr. Hanet said she's on tomorrow again. So let's have a good evening for today and take very good care of yourselves.
You too. Thank you, sir.